Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining the Move podcast. This is Scotty Carlisle. I'm the host, and today we have a very special guest. And I've been trying to get her on my podcast for at least 77 years now. But I'm so happy that you finally made it here. I know you are probably one of the busiest girls that I have ever talked to. It's like you don't have like one thing going at a time. You have like three things, and you're supposed to be in three different places. So
thank you for having me.
So
I'm glad to finally make it work.
Yes. You know, but that's where persistence pays.
Yes.
You know, keep on. And at some point, I knew I was going to get you here because, you know, it's some of those, there's certain things in life where you don't have a clear understanding, but you have a feeling.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I think that I had a feeling that we're supposed to be doing stuff. I don't know exactly what, but, you know, and that's why I just keep on connecting, making sure that at some point that we have this discussion. So I think this is an important thing. I think there's a lot of people out there that are going to benefit from this talk. And so I just want to, you know, from my perspective and seeing what you've done, you know, you have really been able to pull a lot of people together. I'm telling you, like, if we pulled, right? And you've pulled so many people together, and you've really done such a great job at inspiring others, at being somebody that others can, a role model that people can look up to, because you have basically, you know, you've pushed the limits of the things that could be done. And so I know you've been doing life coaching stuff, you do innovation stuff, you have several businesses, you're entrepreneurial, you have a bunch of contacts, and you're doing a bunch of good stuff. So I'd like to, I guess, first get you to give me your take. And what is your biggest thing? Is it the CEO? Is that the biggest thing that you're focused on right now?
It really is. I mean, it's
okay.
CEO in itself is big, you know, but that's on a business level, it's a huge focus.
What is CEO?
So think in terms of CEO, but she means business is what I like to say. And, you know, women, we do things so differently. We're living in a time where we're being told that you got to do it like the guys, equality, all these things. And it's just, I don't want to say it's not the case, but the reality of the situation is we just do things differently, and we don't have to build businesses the way guys do. We don't have to do corporate the way guys do. We can do it very feminine, and we can lean into what our strengths are and recognize what our weaknesses are, and not have to focus on what we're not very good at because the guys are great at it. Let the guys be great at what they're great at. And, you know, so CEO really came about in the sense of, yes, you could be the leader of your own business, and you could build a business from home, and we'll get into like how I did that and what led to all this. But when you're building a business from home and you're a woman, sometimes you got the kids running around, the dogs barking, the dryers beeping, the distractions that we have seem so small, but they will stop us in our tracks. And so CEO has now become a community. It's an online platform. There's newsletters. There's all kinds of things that we have going on with the brand, but all of it is designed to nurture that particular woman's journey in finding her purpose, leaning into her passions, and building businesses she can love.
So what made you decide to start the CEO?
So obviously, I'm going to go back a little bit. So I was in media for a long time, over 20 years in the magazine industry, and I got to move up in ranks in all different publications here in Southern California and some East Coast ones in New York. And being not only female, but Latina, you know, it wasn't the most common thing to see in media, even if you're working at a women's magazine that's run by men, you know, usually. And so most of my career I worked with a lot of men, high-level men, all different people. And I learned so much from them. But I also got to the point where I was 40 years old. I recently did a TED Talk, a TEDx speech that I was telling you about. And I share there that I was on this great path, but then I looked up one day and I was 40. I wasn't healthy. I was struggling with health issues. I was divorced. And there I was, a single mom with 2 teenage boys, which is insanity, you know. And I didn't have quality time. I just didn't have time. And so I found myself unemployed at that moment because there was all these things happening in the market and everything. And I I always like to say, they didn't fire me. I've never been fired. They didn't fire me and I didn't quit, but we broke up. And that's how we will keep it. And they know who they are. Mutual respect to a degree, and that's that. But it left me in a situation where I had to really ask myself, gosh, I've spent my entire career making all these people so wealthy. There has to be a way that I can do something similar for myself and my family. So I started a business and I did it from home. I knew I didn't want to sit on the freeway. It was as simple as realizing what I didn't want. And it was like, I didn't want to sit on the freeway. I didn't want to spend too much time away from my boys anymore. And I really wanted to figure out how to make that kind of money for myself. And that was my first real taste of success as an entrepreneur. Building it from home as a single mom over the age of 40, I knew that little formula there was something. I knew that there was some sort of magic in that or blessings in that other women could probably benefit from. And then eventually started a podcast, the Rachel Unpack podcast, where I could sort of pour all of this out. And once that took off during COVID, actually, because everybody was learning how to build businesses from home. Everybody was learning about this thing called Zoom. Everybody was learning how to have their meetings, run businesses on their own islands. And, some people on my team were like, gosh, we've been doing this for a long time. We've been doing this for years. Maybe people would want to know the right way to do it, like the better way, that there's a better way to do it. And so the podcast took off and we were like, we're getting a lot of DMs. People saying, help me. How can I do it? I was asked, do you have a course? Do you have this? Do you have that? And I just kept saying, entrepreneurship is not a course. Like, it is such a journey. It is such a long haul. It is such a trek. Like, it is not a course. I could spit a course out, but it is not a course. Like, I would just be taking your money and you'd still be lost. And so we figured out, let's build community. Let's create a nurture sequence for these women on their journey. And then it's like, well, what would we name it? We got to create tribalism. We got to create a badge of honor. Grant Cardone has 10X. Like, people have their communities and the, lions, not sheep, things that people put stickers up and wear t-shirts. And we're like, what's that thing for us? And then CEO was born.
And so now, once it's born, so the concept is great. You have people from the podcast that are interested, right? But then you have to take steps in order to create sustenance, right? And then, so how is that? Is like, okay, so now nurturing, we have this community. What was the steps that you were like, okay, because you got to monetize, right? Because you have to support your family and you have to, do something. And in order to do that, you got to make money, right? So how did you figure, what was the thought process going into monetizing the CEO?
I think the hardest part about it initially was that I still had the first business that I built that was slammed, by COVID.
And what business was that?
And that's Just Home.
That's okay.
So
that was the magazine.
Yeah, and it was a grassroots, media company that was competing with House and Angie's List out here and stuff like that. We did really, really well, and so when that happened, then there was a lot of realizations, and we talked off camera about major loss that I've had in my life and stuff. And so when all of that sort of came to a head, I was left sitting there saying, all right, we're in the middle of an entire global pandemic. I know that I'm good at this. This team is good at it. You can't do anything by yourself. I didn't build any of it by myself. Together, we're fantastic, but I don't love it. Yes, it's what I've done for 20 something years. I'm good at it, but I don't love it. And we saw those numbers past 7 figures. No, that's not my income, by the way. The business did really well, but I felt very unfulfilled, and I just knew, all right, this feels like a reset. And so how do I break up with my 7-figure business and go all in on my passion and my purpose, knowing that there's no guarantees? And so the strategy, which is just interesting, there really was none, other than if it doesn't make me happy, if it doesn't fulfill us as a team, if it doesn't fire us up in our purpose and with our passion every day, we're not doing it. We're just not doing it. And so as far as monetization is concerned, we knew, almost like Field of Dreams, build it and they shall come. And we already had a sort of a demand anyways. And we just had to figure out, what are they willing to pay for? And then also, what talent do I, or not talent, but what knowledge do I have that they really need? I didn't know what I didn't know. And I realized they didn't either. And so for me, I was like, oh, it's so easy. They just have to do this, this, this. And Deneen on our team is so wonderful. And she's like, no, you got to dial it all the way back. She's like, you're coming at this with 20 years, 20 something years experience, all these things. Like, you got to dial it all the way back to a woman who's sitting there with her kids, coming out of a pandemic. Husband's probably like, what am I doing with my life? And you got to dial it all the way back and go, how do you go from 0 to 1? And I went, my brain fried. I was like, what? Like the gears just grind. So that's where we started. And then being able to go, okay, what's the 0 to 1 journey? Do I remember that journey? Like, can I really speak on that journey? What can I do? And can we build products and services and opportunities that we can monetize? And so we just started as simple as, let's take a bunch of people's courses and see who's full of crap and see who the real deal is. And the value would be, because of all the years of experience we have, we can spot the BS. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to go vet all these things, like low-key vet. Like, we're not even telling those content creators that we're doing this. And then the ones that were like, this is a real deal. This is real. We know that works, or we know that that's real. We've been there and we've done that, and we know this is real, and let's share that. And we just started collecting as many of these amazing, whether it's content creators, a YouTube video that's 10 minutes, whatever, these bits of information that we were like, that's gold. This is what they need to go from 0 to 1. We started collecting it and putting it into a space.
Mm. And then basically, did you have any affiliate opportunities at that point, or it was all just, okay, so that was part of the monetization thing? Okay.
To a
degree.
So the
products and videos, or was it just anything? Or
we really were thinking in terms of, when you're speaking about the affiliate marketing side, we were really started from like, all right, we're entering a serious side hustle culture here after COVID. Mm-hmm. It was serious, like fast cash, like fast businesses, like, so, okay, what are like 50 side hustles that women can do right now from home with very little money out of pocket? And it was as simple as that. It was like a checklist. Download the checklist with like your 50 side. We're just going to let you know what's available out there. We're not going to tell you how to do it. We're just going to let you know like what your options are. Because again, 0 to 1 is, they don't even know what they don't know. Like, right. They don't even know what their options are. So you have to first identify, well, what are they interested in? They don't know what their options are. So show them options. Then they go, oh, wow, affiliate marketing is a really interesting type of business. Drop shipping seems kind of complicated. What about print on demand or social media marketing? Like, there's these things that you could do from your phone, laptop, whatever. So as we start to see the interest, then we were able to go, who do we want to align with to do an affiliate partnership with them? We didn't want to do it with just anybody. Mm. That has now, since on the affiliate marketing side, it has evolved into, what are all of the platforms and programs we have ever used that we still love? And then let's go align with those, because they have to sign up anyways. We're going to be mentioning those tools anyways in the content. And so then we'd contact the companies and they're like, let's do it. That includes course creators, women I've interviewed on my podcast who have like top selling courses. And I'd say, do you have a program? And they're like, no, but we'll build one out. We'll attach one. And we're not in the business of saying we're competing with anybody. Course creators, community builders, we're not. We're here to point our community in the direction of those women. Right. And men too, that are
edify the ones that deserve the edification.
Yes.
So that your community can benefit.
Yes, we just want to save them the time and the hassle and the frustration of getting lost on YouTube, lost on Google, and then not being able to spot the fakes. There's a lot of fakes. There's just so many of them. And yeah, those people are making money faking people out. And so for us, it's like, okay, let's just say we're not going to get rich right away, but we're going to feel really great about giving them the roadmap to many places, to many islands. No matter what type of business they choose, we have some sort of framework or roadmap that they can take.
Wow. And so how long has this CEO been in existence now?
So we're knocking on 2 years. We actually built it in the office where you are right now. And 1 year ago, on the 20th, so this month, 1 year ago, we launched the Latina division. Never have I ever, as I like to say, did I ever think I'm Latina. My Spanish is very, very like it is shaky when I tell you, like to put it like nicely. Yeah, oh gosh, my father is rolling in his grave somewhere because, and my grandparents, because I used to speak really good Spanish. It's not good anymore, but I will tell you, I have a friend. She's a influencer. You've met her, Jackie Hernandez. Millions and millions of followers from Latin America and Spanish speakers here, and she said, "Friend," she's like, "Amiga, this needs to be in Spanish," and I was like, I don't know what to tell you because it's a lot of work. It was a lot of work to do what we did in English. And then I spoke at an event in Spanish, which was very scary. And the event producer heard the story and she said, we need this in Spanish. Whatever that you're doing, we need it in Spanish. And I was like, let me put you in the room with this other friend I have, and then I'll just sit there and have coffee and like a pastry and just like listen to you ladies talk about this. And that's what we did. I brought Deneen on my team.
With your perfect Spanish and all.
Yeah. And I told my Deneen, who's on my team, I said, "Hey, Deneen, let's get these two in a room and let's just listen." And so they didn't know each other, and they met and they talked about what they love about SheEO, what they envisioned, the community, the culture, the problems, the issues, the stumbling blocks. And then we just sat. It was hours, and we just sat and listened. Then they would turn and ask some questions, and I would say, "Well, is this? Oh, see?" And then they'd go off, and I looked at Deneen and I said, "I think we might be doing this, but we can't do it. They're going to have to be really dedicated to it." And then it just so happened that they were, and here we are a year later, and we have thousands of members. It's a paid membership, and everything we did in English, we copy pasted, translated, and reiterated in conversational Spanish from them because they both went to school in Mexico, and that's what's in the SheEO Latina area now. So it's pretty amazing.
So if I was a lady, girl, wife, mother, whatever, that I'm not happy with where I am, right, and I want to improve, you came up on my radar, and I'm looking at it. What would I get if obviously it's a subscription by me joining. I'm joining you and get your experiences, right? I'm basically leveraging your experience for my benefit. What other benefits do I get if I join your
I think the biggest thing is the newsletter, which is obviously free, and jumping on that, because we spotlight a lot of amazing women that are doing phenomenal things. I say ordinary women doing extraordinary things, and so the newsletter in itself could be very inspirational. If it's very entrepreneurial, but it's very inspirational. First and foremost, you go into the platform, you become a member. If that's the route that you want to take, you pay your monthly membership, you go in there. It's like a mall. So you go in there and you go, wow, okay, I'm here in the mall. And you're walking around, and instead of seeing, like Hot Topic or Forever 21, you're seeing, drop shipping. Do I want to go hang out in there? And then now you see the chat space with other people that are doing it or interested in it. You're watching videos about it. What
There's
is
dialogue.
It's 0 to 1.
So I am basically now from 0, I'm going to see dialogue in different contexts of businesses that I may or may not, I don't know shit, but now I'm looking at this and now I can see these questions that are being asked and the people are, so now I'm getting familiarized with, okay.
Even from the moment that they step into a specific space. So again, let's just say affiliate marketing. They go, oh, this is affiliate marketing. This is interesting. They go into that. Again, they're inside of SheEO, and then they choose a space. They go into, let's just say, affiliate marketing space, and they're going to see a video in English. It'll be me. And then it's like, hey, welcome to the affiliate marketing space. What is affiliate marketing? And it's just a 1-minute video of what is it? And they can, in 1 minute, go, that sounds like something I might be interested in, or no, I'm out. Let me go to another space. And then Jackie did the exact same videos, but in Spanish on the Latina side. So that way, very quickly, this is about saving them time, money, hassle, frustrations, because we know as women, there's a lot of distractions. If we're going to show up as the mothers that we envision ourselves to be, as maybe the wives, if they're married, that we envision ourselves to be, we don't have a lot of time. It's like and I don't even like to say that because I believe that we do have time for everything. We got to get really great at balancing our time, but we really feel distraction and pulled, in a lot of different directions. So for us, yeah, it's like a mall, and it's just, you don't know what you don't know. So just show up, you walk, you walk around, you look around, and then you can go, okay, now I've always wanted to write, a children's book. Where do I go for that? Self-publishing area. Head on over. And you can see a 1-minute video like you're at an airport. And it's me saying, welcome to the self-publishing area. What is self-publishing? And then it's 1 minute of what it is. And here's a bunch of videos we've collected that you can watch to start to open their mind. That's the 0 to 1. So all the spaces will take them from 0 to 1 in each of those niches. There's other spaces that are the classrooms, and some of them are in-app purchases. Some of those cost more money.
Like, give me an example.
So one example that we have right now that's going to be on the English side, that's currently on the Spanish side, is we have something called Riqueza Digital. It's digital wealth, and it's basically a digital marketing course. It's $500-$600, and so you're paying for your membership, but then you see that and you go, my mind is open. I've gone 0 to 1. I'm ready to learn. I'm ready to learn, not just the general steps that people take, but I'm ready to go, okay, what are the frameworks? What's the first thing I have to do now? And then you got 80 modules. I mean, it's a beast of a course, that one. And
how did you compile that?
So we went out of our way to go take a lot of courses. And so in looking at the different courses, because I've created content, Jackie, again, 10 years as a top YouTuber, for Latin America, and millions on social media, she knows this stuff. So I said to her, take the course. Because she was like, oh, my friend took this course. She said it's really good. We should put it in there. I said, no, yeah, maybe, but take it. She's an actual pro. So I said, we can just document you, and you could make a course, or you could go watch that course. And if you say that's a badass course, come on, it's coming from someone that literally does this for a living. Mm-hmm. And so that's what she did. She took the course. Every day she was messaging me going, oh my God, I tested this theory that they said. It even helped her that she's been doing this for 10 years. And she said, amiga, it's solid. And I was like, all right, we'll put it in. If you say it is. If you say it is. It doesn't have to be us. We just have to have the passion and the care enough to take the steps before they do. Watch the things before they do. Meet the people before they do. And then go here. On the English side, Amy Porterfield, she hit $100 million last year working from home. Digitally, just teaching people how to build their email list.
$100 million working from home.
Yes.
Is that so?
It's literally
that's
her.
A real thing.
It's literally, by the way, it's literally her. Her husband, I think she has an assistant, and it's in her house.
Are you gonna start working from home now, or what? I don't know anybody, but my goodness gracious.
So everybody that I interview, they work from home. Very few of them have brick and mortars. Almost all of them built mega wealth from home. And so, bringing these experts on, we're starting to bring the experts on now on the Latin side, on the Spanish side, because they're fewer and further between. On the English side, we have a lot of ladies. So we are probably going to dub some of that in Spanish and stuff like that. But women are making a lot of money from home doing this. I mean, we built this whole big old thing, right? And then you have Amy who's like, oh, I teach people how to build email lists. And I'm just like, what? So again, they don't know. We don't know what we don't know until you meet someone that is just killing it. And then we share those stories. And then we say, do you have a course? Well, yeah. Do you have an affiliate program? Let's go. And it's not even about us getting rich off of that. There's some people that we're promoting their courses that they don't have an affiliate program because they're, and
they're just that good.
We're like, this should be, yeah. And that's what it is.
That's cool.
Integrity,
I love that. There's somebody said, I don't know, but I feel like it's such a good thing to work or to live by. If you can't work for free, you can't work for me, not because you don't want to pay somebody, but the passion of actually of quality, of meaningfulness, that's something that I think a lot of people sell their soul for. And that, I feel like money, we all need money to get by, but sometimes that's the least valuable thing that you can get from someone,
I have come... Well, first and foremost, everybody that's on the CEO team, could be doing something else when I tell you. They all have, Jackie, for example, YouTuber, like she could post one video and get paid like thousands upon thousands of dollars for that. She doesn't need to be doing this. There's nobody on the team that needs to be doing this. Everybody wants to do that, and it's a lot of work, and we've been working solid through it, and we're very proud of ourselves. Like we look up and go, wow, this is amazing. Like we're doing this, and we've been featured in a lot of places. And because you said at the top of the interview, like it's been so hard to get a hold of me. It's when you have that momentum, I just cannot. I'm just like, I gotta ride this wave. It's so amazing because of the women. Every opportunity is more women get to see it, and that makes me excited. But back to money, I've come to the conclusion that money itself is a limiting belief.
Okay, elaborate.
You know what? When I make enough money, I'm going to join the Magic Castle.
Right.
But instead I said to him and people, you know what? I really want to go to the Magic Castle. I've always wanted to go. I know I'm going to go soon. I just don't know how or where it's going to happen. And then I just happen to have coffee. And then there's this guy named Scotty. And he's like, hey, have you been to the Magic Castle? And I was like, tell me more. Because that's what God does. You know, I wanted to take, my son, he loves, football, NFL, and his birthday was coming up. And I was like, I really want to take him to a game, but the weather's been bad. SoFi Stadium parking's crazy. But I really want to do it. All right, I'm taking him to NFL game. I don't know who or when, where, but I'm taking him. Boom. Not even 10 days later, my friend messages me and says, hey, my husband doesn't want to use our tickets. We have really great season passes. You want to use them? I said, yeah, let's go. So not only that, we had the floor. So we were on the field. That's their That's their situation. So we were on the field, and then I was standing next to him, and I said, "Not bad, huh?" And he goes, "Yeah, but I wonder how much those cost." And obviously the suites, right? And then I said, all we could do is find out. And I was just like, we were looking around the stadium, and I said, life is just like this. There's people that chose their level. They chose those seats, the nosebleeds. And then there's my friends here that chose this experience. And whoever's in those box suites, they just decided this is the experience I want to have in life and in this game. And so I said, you want to have that experience? Let's have it. Let's figure it out. And so the next day we sent, because that was like a Sunday, we sent an email on Monday, and that was it. The guy called and he said, hey, Metallica, he's like, I'd like to show you, the suite. And I thought, like on a dark day. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, let me know. Is it during the week? And he goes, well, let me know, Metallica or Beyonce. And I was like, Metallica or Beyonce? And I said, well, Beyonce. And he goes, how about September 4th? Because that's her birthday. And she was having that huge tour. Nobody could get tickets. Everybody was talking about nobody could get tickets to that thing. And then I said, sure. And he goes, okay, I'll leave you 2 tickets at, I'll send you 2 tickets to Ticketmaster, whatever, however they do it, and parking and everything. And then we'll see you on the 4th. And I said, okay. And it was my son, I'm like, oh God, you get to go see Beyonce. But when we got there, yeah, it was in a suite, but it was in the owner's suite.
Wow. Very cool.
So it's those things that I say, it's like you got to go around life saying, oh, I want everything for free. But money is a limiting belief, because if you can just decide what it is you want, like what is the outcome you seek, we are so conditioned to think that money, like we're praying for money, but it's like, well, what are you going to do with the money? Just make a list of what you want to do with the money, and then just focus on that, and don't put limits on God to believe that he has to create money or give you money for you to have that thing, because you can have it no matter what without the money.
I think if nothing else from this podcast that anybody hears, that is a very important thing. After you explained it, I agree 100%. That is 100% limiting belief. For me personally, I grew up in food stamps, and we put the fun in dysfunction kind of a scenario, and I have never allowed money to stop me from doing a damn thing. Like, if there's something I want to do, believe me, I'm going to make it happen. And that's just, I don't know if it was because of that, or if, and this is a question I have for you. You're an entrepreneur. I'm been an entrepreneur. You're an entrepreneur. there's certain things entrepreneurs need, right? One is resolve, right? Because we are thrown curveballs.
Yes.
We're slapped upside the head. We're taken aback. We're on the short side of the stick sometimes. So my question, do you think resolve is a natural thing or is it learned?
It's such a good question. I don't know that you can learn it. I think that we have rocks in the world and we have diamonds. And I think they're both here because of pressure. And I think as humans, pressure could either destroy and crush somebody or leave them as a rock, that can't be moved, can't be anything. And then there's the same pressure and you get a diamond out of it. And I used to think, I never could understand, okay, so that was hard. Yeah, life is hard. Yeah, this sucks. Yeah, okay, cry. And then get up and then keep going. I never understood the stopping. From young, I didn't understand why people would just stop and just be, just whatever that was. I never understood that. I guess I never really saw my dad do that. I never saw my mom do that. I never saw my grandparents do it. So I didn't understand that whole thing. So I think that in life, you have pressure and you accept the theory now as an adult. I understand, that, pain is inevitable, but suffering's optional. It's such an option. We're all going to have pain. Like we're all going to have it, but suffering is optional. And what you do with that feeling is absolutely a choice. Absolutely a choice. There are crushing things in life, and then you have to make a choice. Are you going to be a diamond in this moment? Is this a diamond moment, or is this it? Is this where you sink anchor and just tell the sad story for the next 30 years? And that's the hard part. I don't know that you can teach it. I just don't know that you can. I don't know why I have it. I don't know how. But I don't know that you can teach it.
I feel like in certain circumstances, when we're having this discussion, it's easy to say. It's easy to say the answer, right? This is the answer. But when you just receive news that is life-changing and that, again, you've lost something that is so very precious and valuable to you, the words that we say right now doesn't relate because and I'm only speaking from my personal experience, when you get news that that your life is going to be changed now, you don't have, it feels like it's like your life has been taken away, and that you have that low and the lull and the I don't want to do this. And do you think everybody sinks to the same level, or do you think some people are buffered against that? Because I know how I felt, and we've all experienced things like that. So
I think catastrophic events are catastrophic. I think we talked off camera. I lost my son when he was 25 years old. I lost him on Valentine's Day. He lived with me, and he would go to work every morning, and he went to work that morning. And, he just goes, bye, Mom, every time he would leave. And he's same thing, regular routine. He just never came back. I had to get a phone call, and I never saw him again because the accident was so hurt. He actually died attempting to rescue a dog in the road. And so he was struck and killed. And so his body was beyond recognition. So I've never seen him again, since that night before he left. And then I haven't heard him again really until I heard him say, bye, Mom, in the morning. So to me, those are massive, massive blows. I had lost my father. Before that, I lost my grandparents who helped raise me. Like, I lost amazing people, before that, an uncle that I absolutely adored. Like, I've lost some really wonderful people, and there's that mourning, and with the grandparents, you could say, well, they lived a full life, or, oh, well, this person, well, yeah, they lived a rock and roll lifestyle, drugs, all the things. And so, okay, at least they lasted that long, you could find the silver lining in things. And when you have sudden loss, of child, there's no silver lining. And I think the hardest thing has been, there's no deciphering it. Like there's no bright side, and there's no nothing other than I could say, well, I did my best for him, and we traveled, we did amazing things together, the three of us, and I'm proud of that, and there's good in that, but there's no silver lining. There's just catastrophe. And so to me, my own thing was just, how do I get back up from this so that, and I say that, and I just recently said this publicly, my only thing was just as simple as right in front of me, what's the one thing that could just like pull me out of bed? And that was, I was a very happy lady. I had a very playful disposition. I'm kind of like a child in a lot of ways. And I knew this is that thing that will erase it. And so I just thought, and then what does that mean for my other son? So he lost his brother, but now he loses his mom. And I just could not. And I think it takes a level of getting outside of yourself a little bit, because we're all very selfish in nature anyways. And I think that you have to be selfless in a way in that moment to say, all right, this sucks, this hurts and everything, but the bigger picture isn't about me. My mom, she lost her grandson, my this, they lost their nephew, like my son, he lost his brother. Like there's a ripple effect here. And so what is my role in this? Well, that's already hard enough. I don't need to add to that story so that my mom could feel like she lost her daughter. My son could feel like he lost his mother. And so all I could do was go, okay, for that simple sort of complex reason, I'm going to get up and get out of bed and, take a shower and get ready and smile. My culture, the Latin culture, people mourn for like a long time, and it's kind of off color to be like laughing and talking and living your life after a huge loss like that. But I did. I gave myself permission to be the mom and the woman that he loved, and that, my son loves, and that people loved about me. And that's not easy. But yeah, I mean, we had a life where it wasn't easy. He had a very difficult life, before he passed. He had his own demons he was battling and things like that. But boy, did we know how to laugh. Like we knew how to laugh together, and we knew how to dream together. And so even the night before he passed, we were sitting in the living room together, playing music. We're such music people, and laughing and joking and having a good time. And he said, Mom, one day you're going to be on bigger stages, and you're going to be speaking to so many people, and you need your at-bat music, your walk-up music. Him and, my other son, they picked the song. It was so ghetto. I was like, you don't understand the types of people that go to these things. This does not work.
That's great.
And
what song?
It's a Spanish rap song that is very, like, it's called Cartel de Santa, which is like,
okay.
So it's hard, man. It's like, you're going to go commit crimes. That's the song you're going to that's the song you're going to put on. But the lyrics are actually really interesting. It's like a double entendre throughout the entire song. And so they felt like it kind of related to what I was doing. Like, oh, my mom is like slinging, not lyrics, which is what the song says, but these words and inspire people and stuff like that. And so there was this vision that the three of us had for our lives from what I was doing, what they were doing. And I just made a decision that, yeah, it hurts. This is pain, but the suffering needs to, we got work to do. We have a dream and a vision for our lives that we had together. And I'm on a mission to complete that.
How long ago did this happen?
5 years we just hit.
And how old were you?
20.
20. So you guys are 5 years apart.
He's currently the age that his brother was.
Yeah, I've spent too much time myself pondering those kind of situations. My mom losing 2 kids, and they were the babies, so there were 7 of us. And when I was in 8th grade, we ended up we lived in a shelter, a domestic abuse thing for a little bit, and then she had never worked. She was married for 25 years, never had a job. So then I was 8th grade, and then a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old,
Mm.
right? And so that was the dynamic, and it was like I was kind of the man of the house, even though I didn't know shit.
Yeah.
And so the 2 babies, it's really, again, your mind can be your best friend or your worst enemy, and it's actually both. Can be, it is both, and it will be both
forever.
And I think what we have to do, experiencing this loss, is we have to be the gatekeepers of, is it going to be my best friend or is it going to be my worst enemy? And we have the power to open the gate.
Yeah.
And so I think as long as we can keep focused on, hey, how can he be my best friend? How can, that our lives and the trajectory of what we're doing will improve ourselves and the people that are around us. The bad thoughts, the negative thoughts, the worst enemy thoughts, it doesn't just affect you, it affects everyone. People get sideswiped by things every day. One of the biggest things, and I've had a lot of conversations with my mom, because she's really been affected by it. And what ends up happening is your health also affects your ability to cope. And then what ends up happening is it's like a negative feedback loop. Bad emotions create bad health, create worse emotions, create worse health, and it's like somehow you gotta jump off that ship, right? So we've had a lot of conversations about that, and it's just, and I think a lot of people need to hear from somebody that has actually experienced it,
and not just experienced it, but like found some sort of framework or something to be able to pull out of it every day. It's a choice daily. I have a client, we have a client for the other business, the home improvement business, and he's a contractor, and he had lost his older son right before my son passed, and he was seeing everything that I was doing, and he's like, how are you doing that? And he said, first of all, he sent me a message, how are you doing this? Can I talk to you? And I was like, yeah. And so we ended up getting on the phone, and he says, because ever since my son passed, his brother went like schizo, the mom, pills, Xanax, all the things, all the numbing things, him, smoking and drinking. So it changed the entire family for the worse. They felt, he's like, oh, I haven't even been to the movies, and you don't even know how long since it happened. Like, no normal life. Everything felt like it was lost. And so he really wanted to understand how I was doing it. I said, you feel natural, like it's about you, and you can feel sorry for yourself, but you have to be selfless in that sense, to be able to keep going for his other son and everything. So he still ran his business. He did everything. And then I just saw a post a few months ago, I'm scrolling through, and on the business account, and we follow a lot of our clients and stuff, and they're contractors, and I just see this post with 2 young guys, and it says now they're both together. And it was that client, and those are his 2 sons. And I told the team, I said, you're not going to believe it. Told them. And then everybody's like, oh, did you call him? And I said, I cannot. Like, I froze. And by the way, we noticed when we went through the whole thing, people stopped calling us. People stopped reaching out. And I didn't understand. I was like, what is happening? Everybody's gone. Like, what is this? And then I found myself in that moment where I thought, now I'm watching, and I don't know what to say to him, because I know the magnitude of one. I do not even want to go there on the magnitude of both. So, and I know you were saying off camera, about that situation with your siblings. So I think that it's just reaching outside of yourself and saying, who needs me to be here still? And not just be a shell of me, but who needs me to be me?
To show up.
Because we can do for others, right, what we can't do for ourselves. So if you sit there going, okay, for me, I still am not doing anything for me yet. I still have not started doing anything for me quite yet.
It's that perspective that is so important. and again, when you're like in the rungs of self-pity, it's so hard to pull yourself out of, just because it's like, depression is like a sneaky blanket that you think that you're using it to warm yourself up, but then what ends up happening is it gets a little heavier and a little heavier, and then it's like, then you don't want to get up, and then it's like, and it just envelops you. And I think that it's just, and again, that's part of what I want to do this for too, and even have these discussions, is because somebody is gonna hear it that had recently lost somebody. It's just gonna happen. We're human, and that's part of our life is loss. We will lose everything that we have.
Death is part of life. I think too, for me in my mind, I have to say, am I depressed? Do I have depression, or am I sad? And so I was able to give myself permission to be sad. Sad is a normal emotion. That is not something that you need to suppress. You could be sad. I could get in my car and drive and cry. I could take a shower and cry. I can pray and cry. It's okay. And then I get up, I'm like, hey guys, welcome to the Rachel Impact Podcast. Like, one thing has nothing to do with the other. And so I think, it's really easy for people in those situations to go, oh my God, I feel so sad. I think I'm depressed. And then they go on medications and they do all these things, because that D word is a big word. And it's, commercialized and leveraged and all these things and monetized. And so I was like, I'm not depressed. I'm just sad. Now, of course, I'm very sad.
Yeah. And I've heard people talk about depression, and they're like, fuck depression, ain't no fucking thing, but right? Because then they're like angry about it.
Yeah.
And I'm on a line here, and it's like I'm straddling it, because on one side you're right? Because if you do say things, like, your words have energy, they have impact, and you do create the future, and you create your environment with your words. I do believe that. There are sometimes situations, and for those people that are like, fuck that, I don't know, right? I'm like, high five, bro. I'm so happy for you that you have that resolve, and that's that tenacity about that, because that means you have never experienced it.
Yeah.
Right? In my personal situation, right? And so there are sometimes things in life that are sometimes actuated, and sometimes from other things that have happened in your life.
Yeah.
And then either the choices, whether it's your choice or somebody else's choice, like the medication, right?
Right.
That puts you in a spot where sad is definitely experienced, but then it's like there's another aspect that gives it more teeth. And again, but on the other side of that, like, you can't lick your wounds forever. You got to get up and start moving, right?
So here's the thing, like, I'm not a doctor, a psychologist, or I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed in a lot of areas. I'm just not. And I do have a very simple way of kind of looking at things, because I have to break it down into the simplest things. And for me, I've just learned, okay, depression is chemical. That is not, you can't control that.
Right. That's a good way to look at it. It's simple. I'm trying to walk her all the way around. You're like, just open the door, bro. It's like,
it's because it's so simple. Like, so it's chemical, right? It's chemical. Like, people have chemical imbalances. Yeah. They have some people have more serotonin than others, and there is a chemical thing going on, right? And then there's the heart, and the heart to me is really with the mindset part too. So that's the part that's like, okay, so there's the heart's broken, the heart feels sad, so the sadness is like in the heart, tears, people go, oh, it's just love with nowhere to go and all this kind of stuff. Like, I'm a girl, so it's like we tell each other all these like really like emotional things and stuff, but I feel like sadness is of the heart, but it's sort of managed and regulated by the mind, to be able to say, hey, come on, yeah, you're sad, but do it anyways. You're scared, but do it anyways. Like, but depression, I respect the fact that I don't know very much about it, other than, it appears to be a chemical thing. And I've been around enough people that I have seen, like, that's a chemical thing. And so I can't speak too much on it because I don't have that chemical thing. But have I been sad, and do I have a lot of reasons I just shared to be very sad? Oh yeah,
absolutely. The biggest reason that anybody could ever,
yeah. But I'm not here to judge anybody that genuinely has a chemical situation happening and they need to seek some sort of maybe diet change or, work out more. There's all these things, right, that the brain needs and stuff like that, or go get medication. But I'm no one to speak on that. But I do recognize that there's chemical things, with depression.
I feel a lot of what I do, the Move podcast, right? Because in my mind, like how it landed in my lap was a very profound situation, right? And I look at so many different instances where that is the answer, like move, right? Yes. Again, the acronym is important, is cool and all that stuff, but move, move. Like, and then if you're doing it when, like, make a difference in other people's lives, right? Yes. That's the selfless part. Yes. Offer up your time. What do you have to give? That just means give. And so again, everything is about elsewhere, and again, move. And so it's like, there's also momentum. Yes. And I feel like what you said is important, because what is that one little thing that's going to get me out of bed? Because that is the initial start, which is the hardest thing to do. It is. But then that leads you, if you make a conscious choice to take one little step to move towards one positive thing that will get your ass out of bed, then you can create a little bit of momentum, right? Yeah. And then the more things that you do in a positive manner, the better momentum. And then it's like the more selfless acts that you perform, it's like you can just continue to like grow and grow. And I think right now what I'm experiencing through you is that you have established momentum, you are moving, and everything that is basically that you are doing is a selfless act. It is to help others, and that is your superpower. It's your acts, and what you've done, your works, and that is actually what helps you deal with that situation, that temporary, this roller coaster of emotion, so it's great.
In attempting to save others, you save yourself in that, and when I was going through my divorce, and my older son at the time,
that's another bad situation, right?
Yeah, it's like, I was going through the divorce. My older son, the one that passed away, he at that time was on drugs, and it was so challenging. And so what did I do? I said, okay, I'm not gonna feel sorry for myself. I know people have it worse than me. So where can I go where people have it so much worse that I dare not feel sorry for myself? And so I ended up joining the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and they selected me to be a wish fairy, a wish granter. And so I got to be the first one to let them know they've been selected, and I had to play the wish game with these children. And it was heartbreaking. It was absolutely impossible for me to leave that situation and go home and feel sorry for myself. Are you kidding? And then also, I didn't feel sorry for my son either. I was like, cut the crap. You know what you're doing. Do you want the help or not? Let's go. Like, people are, it's like Kim Kardashian crying because, oh my God, I lost my diamond earring in the ocean. And people are like, people are dying, Kim. It was like that moment for me every time I would leave, Chalk or wherever, I was at the children's hospitals and stuff. And so I would say one thing you can do is when you're feeling sorry for yourself, go be around people that are really going through it. Like, go take a drive and go look at people sleeping on the street. Like, go see other people's realities for a moment, and then find a reason to be grateful, because I'm a faith girly, and I just have really come to understand that you cannot be depressed or sad or feeling sorry for yourself and also have faith. You can't be depressed and miserable and also have gratitude. Like, gratitude solves so much. Like, you just have to be grateful. And when you're talking about momentum and moving in this podcast, right, the Move podcast, recently I've been really thinking about this, and it's like, what do all living things, most living things, I guess you could say, right, what do they have in common?
Breath, movement, connection.
They have a circulation of some sort.
Okay.
Maybe it's macroscopic.
Ambulation.
For us, our blood circulates, right? And so animals, their circulation. So when you think about even like the economy, like what causes a recession?
Right.
Stagnation. It is the stagnation of the money. If you actually circulate it, what do you got?
Yeah.
Right.
Bruce Lee, his quote, stagnation is death and movement is life.
So so that is the case whether you're building a business, whether you got to make sales, you got to do marketing, like for us, getting invited to speak, doing podcast episodes, continuing to show up and keep moving. And we were talking about, I'm going to bring it up, like the TEDx thing. I didn't sit there and immediately and go, oh, one day I want to speak at TEDx. No, I just was like invited to go speak somewhere, and I was so afraid. And I went, oh my God, I'm actually kind of good at this. And then that just opened my mind to like, yeah, I think I'd like to do this more often. So you got to like agree, that this is something that you want more of, and then opportunities show up. And then when they show up, don't go, oh, I don't feel like it. Oh, I gained weight, like I'm bloated, like for girls, I mean, I gained 50 pounds after my divorce. I mean, I looked pretty good when I was married. And it's like, who would have thought that you'd actually, that's not the hot girl summer revenge body situation. That's like the opposite of that. But I had to keep showing up. And as you keep showing up and you keep showing up, the momentum builds. And so you have, so many people that I've come across now in doing CEO is everybody says they want something, but the second it shows up, they come up with 1,000 things that they tell themselves that's why they're not ready to have it yet. I mean, there's some big things that I can't say right now because I got some contract things going on, but there's a big thing. And when I went to these girls and I said, oh my gosh, tag you're it. And I said, this is the moment. Every single one of them that I knew without a doubt they want an opportunity like this. Every single one has said, I don't know, because, my husband, or, oh my God, like I gained weight, or, oh, like the excuses I'm hearing. So often people say they want.
That's a damn bummer too.
Yeah. They want notoriety, or they want $1 million, or they want whatever it is that they want. They're not even prepared to receive it. And they're not even mentally prepared to receive it. And so what happens when the opportunity comes, they block it. Mm-hmm. And then here comes the stagnation versus just saying, I'm going to say yes to that, even though I'm scared. I don't know how to do that. First of all, you got to trust God's process. He chose you for a reason. You'll build the airplane on the way down. You'll figure it out. So when I say yes to things, I don't always know what I'm saying yes to. I don't always know that I'm going to be good at that. I don't always know, but I know like that seems really cool. I think I can learn something by saying yes to this. And I think that's what got me this far, that I think a lot of people are too afraid to do. Everybody's wanting to be perfect. Everybody's wanting to be ready. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. And then they stay there. And that's the same whether you're mourning, whether you're building a business, whether you're trying to build a personal brand, whatever it may be.
So I want to emphasize that for a second. So if for anybody that's actually, that's listening to this podcast, I got something to tell you. Like all of you, you will never be fucking ready. It is a mental construct that you ask or you tell yourself so that you will justify your actions. Stop it. You will never be fucking ready. And I'm using that cuss word because I want to emphasize it is a mental construct. There's no such thing. You will never be ready. So you have to show up, and like what you're saying, you just show up. Just show up. And then build the plane on the way down. I've never heard that before.
Build the plane on the way down. I always say done is better than perfect. I learned that from the magazine industry. Like just done is better. Just get it done. When I started my podcast, you can go to the first episode of my podcast. It is the cringiest, most embarrassing, horrific thing you'll ever listen to. But great. I refuse to delete it because it's a reminder of how far I've come. And I knew that if I was going to inspire people, I needed to be able to point them to that first point, the 0 to 1. Going from 0 to 1. That's what it looks like. If you go to Joe Rogan's podcast right now and scroll 5,000 scrolls down and you find episode 1, he's talking for 15 minutes randomly. It's like the audio's way off. And then all of a sudden he goes, hey, dude, when are we going to start recording? And the guy's all, no, we're recording already. He's all, this is it? This is trippy. Like it's like the most messed up thing you've ever listened to, but it's amazing at the same time. So what do they always say? The cliches, don't compare what is the saying? Like, don't compare someone's level, they're 20 years to your first month in business. Like, you know, so many people are comparing themselves. It's like, don't do that. Just go. Just say yes. If it's going to give you a new experience, align you with great people. Every time I've gotten invited to something, I'm like, oh, 99% of the time I don't feel like it, okay? And when I show up anyways, and you know, he's here, he'll tell you, when I go, all right, fine, like, and I show up, oh, I met this person, I met that person, they recommended me for this. I mean, that's the momentum. That's that circulation, it's that life force. So you got to show up.
I think that's some great damn advice. I think that this has been a very good, informative, insightful, inspirational, you know, talk. And I think that, you know, speaking of being grateful, like, I'm very grateful that you showed up.
Oh, I'm grateful
today.
that you have. Yeah.
It's good stuff, because you just don't know. You just don't know who, like, somebody showed up to our meeting last night at the Trajectory meeting. And again, I told you we decided to launch a business, and they had no idea. These people have never, I think maybe there's 2 entrepreneurs in a lot, right? Not a whole lot. And they've never done anything like that, but they showed up, and somebody even said, I did not feel like it. Like 6 or 7 people are like, man, today was a crappy day. But then they showed up, and that's actually starting to build like actual momentum. People, the ones that have been going there, like that, they have a passion for it. And I'm sitting back going like, wow, like I see other people's passion about this little click of what's happening. And anyway, we launched a business, and then now, just for showing up, now it might go peter out, but it might do something good.
They'll be talking about it forever, and then it gives them the confidence. They just now know more than they did yesterday, and they'll go like, hey, I got a lot of ideas like this,
and let's go, let's move, let's get like, do it.
It's not about like, I don't know. I've started a few businesses, and even when we had Just Home, and then we're like, oh, this person wants to collab, and then we could expand and do this and this division and that division. And then we just got such confidence to say, okay, if we can think it, we could do it. And then we would do it for like a few months ago. Well, this sucks. And then, by the way, we would abandon things. And like, I think that so often people think, oh, I got to start something, and like, I have to make it work. And it's like, I don't know, man. I'm too creative for that. And if you could really assess really quickly, like, this doesn't feel right. This isn't it. Like, this isn't, I mean, maybe somebody wants to take it over. Cool. But like, we're out. Move on to the next thing. Who cares? Like, people are so concerned with like, what's that going to look like? They're going to be like, oh, this person has ADD or whatever. Like, hey, you know, you look at Richard Branson, or you look at, you know, any of these, Jeff Bezos starting, oh, hey, honey, 1997, I'm going to sell books on what is the internet? I'm going to sell books on it. And by the way, is it a bookstore today? Right. Not really. Like, it's all kinds of stuff. So now it's a whole, you know, television streamer and everything. So I just think, like, give yourself permission, give yourself grace, you know, to change your mind. Give yourself grace to try 1,000 things. I told my boys, I want, by the time you guys are 25, 30, to be able to, I want you to try all the things, no matter what anybody says. And then by the time you're 30, you're not going to look back and go, shoulda, woulda, coulda. You're going to go, yeah, I've been there, done that.
Yeah.
And that's a
check
better
this
place.
out.
Yeah. And that's a better place to be. Mm-hmm.
So, okay, I think the last topic, or the last thing I want to kind of touch on is the concept of being in situations in life that are uncomfortable, like whatever it is, starting a business that you don't know what it's about, right? And I think there are 2 words that I feel are really strong, impactful words that I think will help people have a better attitude. And those 2 words are curiosity and exploration.
Yes.
And if you can live your life, no matter what situation, with a level of curiosity, because then what that does is it gives you humility, right? And you're like, oh, I don't know everything. And then you're open. Because if you know everything, you can't learn a damn thing. No. You know? And then exploration, it's also a similar thing, but I think that is taking the curiosity and it's putting the move behind it, right? So it starts with a curiosity, and then it rolls into exploration. And if you can take those 2 concepts and apply it to your situation, that you're uncomfortable, or that you're feeling anxiety, or you have pain, especially pain, right? Yeah. If you think about, my freaking knee hurts, and you're just like, oh, like, okay, what is it trying to tell me here, right? And then you can feel, and this is the difference between suffering and pain, right? Yeah. Because you have pain, but you don't have to suffer. But I think the way that you take pain and you don't suffer is you apply curiosity and exploration. And so I don't know if you have anything to, like, what you think about that. I don't know if you've had that thought before, but
I think what you were saying about, if you know everything, then, it's pretty miserable. And I like to let people know, because I've done this for myself, the greatest thing that I learned how to do was to be a student everywhere I go. So even if I'm listening to someone and I'm like, oh, they don't really know. It's also not my job to like explain to them everything. Like even in their simple thinking, you can learn something, And so I'm a student everywhere I go. And when I was at this one magazine, I was a publisher of like 5 other titles, and I ended up hiring this older gentleman. And that's always a little bit of a hit and miss because I was younger than him by a lot. And I said, why do you want this job? He was a group publisher. And so being a publisher is great, but he was like the guy that all publishers had to report to in the magazine industry. And he was a group publisher for like Lowrider, Car and Driver,
oh
like
wow,
big ones.
big ones.
He was national pub, right? And here he is at his regional, publisher, publishing house with like this lady named Rachel, and and so he came in like a bull, like an ox, and I actually hired him. And then he kept going, kiddo, da-da-da, and like he's like madman, like old school. And then and he was miserable. I could see he was miserable because his ego just would not allow him to be okay that he even had that job. So he couldn't even be in a place of being grateful to have a job in his 60s. He was miserable because he was comparing it to where he was. And so I looked at him. I had him in my office and I said, hey, I need you to do something. And he's like, what? I go, I need you to be a student. He's like, oh, I could run circles around you guys. I said, no. No one doubts that. Like, I don't doubt it. Like, in fact, let's go to lunch. I want to pick your brain about a lot of things. Like, let's talk shop. Like, however, I need you to be, for 90 days, just give me 90 days. Just be a student. Pen and paper. Just listen. Because you've never been here. And you've never been at this type of magazine, and you've never been around these types of people, and you've never had these types of clients. So I need you to be a student. And he's like, all right. And as soon as he did that, oh man, within like a month, I would come home and be like, oh man, like the ox is softening up. Like he's like, hey, I'm gonna go play golf with the one client. I'm like, go have fun. Like have fun. Like you don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to solve problems. Like just enjoy your job, collect your check, have a good time, meet people. Because he was doing it for a different reason. He was doing it because he had a few more years to stack onto his Social Security benefits, and that's why he did it. But the ego was just in the way. So I feel like when you walk into a room and you want to be the expert and you want to be the pro and you're a know-it-all, and a lot of us can be know-it-alls, in a good sense, like we're very well versed or educated or experienced, but if you can just be a student, just always be committed to doing that, your ego has to take a back seat. You just let it. We all have one. Just buckle it in a car seat, put a muffle in it, and just say shh, and just be a student. And I've learned from people and women from all walks of life that I never imagined that I would learn from. And the curiosity is that I'm very curious about, people's thinking, everything, science, things that I have, the Hadron Collider in Switzerland. Like I have no business following that thing. Like I have no idea. Like, but I'm very curious about the things of the world. AI, where are we going? What does it mean? Who are the casualties? Who are the winners? And just like you're saying, just be curious. It's all we can do. Don't be paranoid. You can watch some of that stuff and get real paranoid, but I think that life is a very interesting place when you can get, curious and just be a student.
I love it. And I want to come back to the first thing that we started talking about, and you went about entrepreneurship, and you're like, it is a journey. Like I could put out these courses, but you're still going to be lost. It is a journey. And I feel like that's life. Life relates to entrepreneurship, right? And
Yes.
It is a journey, and this is where you have the choice. What do you want to get out of your journey?
Yeah. Are you asking me that question?
Sure. If you have actually, that's why didn't I think of asking?
No, I don't. I'm like, I hope not. I don't know. I think it's just the ride. I've come. I'm 49 years old. I've come to realize I like building things. And I love the just to be able to, I want everyone to have the experience of having an idea and seeing it come to life. That's it. If you just get in the habit of like, think it and do it. Just think it and then do it. Like, get out of bed and you're like, oh, you know what? I should go on a walk. And then, oh no, but I got to do the laundry. No. You thought it, go do it, and then come back and do the other things. Like, just getting in that muscle memory of like, I thought it and I did it. I thought it and I did it. And that muscle memory will grow and expand into, I think I want to start a hair salon. I think I want to start a consulting business. Okay, now do it. Now every day, take some sort of action towards it. Think it and do it. Think it and do it.
It's good advice. You know, I have to mention my wife. She's like freaking amazing when it comes to that. Like I'll come home and I sit down, and when I sit down, then I get lazy. I'm like, I don't want to do anything, right? She's like up, cleaning this, doing that, moving over here, trying to like screw this thing in. Like she just doesn't ever stop. And I'm just like, how in the hell? Like people think I have a lot of energy. In certain contexts, I have a lot of energy. She does this around me, and I just think it's amazing because she has that mastered. Like her muscle reflex or what you're saying, her muscle memory on think and do, like that's all so, and she gets a lot of shit done. So I just think that's a good way to try to like pattern yourself. Think it and do it. That's good advice.
But that's also like, think about taking a break, take it. You know, think about going to Hawaii. I mean, never been to Hawaii, by the way, but think about going somewhere and it's like, all right, well, go look it up. What does it cost? What is it going to take? What's the next step? When's the dates? Like, think it and do it. Just plan it out. Put it in a calendar somewhere. I don't know. It's just think it and do it.
So if anybody's out there, they want to go to Hawaii, or they want to do something, if you thought it, just do it. Just we give you permission. Rachel gives you permission right now to do whatever it takes and just get it done. Think it. You already thought it. Now do it.
Take the steps towards it. Just to at least back to move. Think it and do it. It doesn't mean you have to think today and then be in Hawaii tomorrow, for example. It's just take steps, action steps towards going there. Just think it. Look at pictures of it. Watch videos. What's the tour guide situation? You know, I don't know, price. I don't know. Like, just take whatever action it is that's going to move you in the direction of that thing. And by the way, I got to get better at that too. That part of it, the taking breaks and the planning vacations.
Yeah. All right. Well, I give you permission. You thought it. Now do it.
Yeah.
That's great. So if somebody's listening to this and they're inspired, or they want to get in touch with you, or they want to join, where do they find you and how do they find you?
You can go to my website, rachelmedina.com, or on social media, Rachel Medina 101. And you'll see everything there. Links and bios, the CEO community, the podcast, all the great stuff coming up, webinars, all different things. And I update it pretty regularly, and you can check it out and see what fits you.
Awesome. I think we've had a great conversation. I think a lot of people should get stuff out of this. And do you have anything else that you'd like to leave people with?
Really learn to lean into your higher power, the higher power. I would not have gotten this far without my faith. And fear and faith cannot live in the same place. Like, you got to really have faith and allow room for faith to grow. So much so it's easy to say, oh my God, I really want to do this. I really pray that this happens. And then you go and you kill yourself for countless hours trying to make it happen. And it's like, well, do you believe that it's going to happen for you? Or are you just over here trying to make it happen? You know, we submit our order at Chick-fil-A and somehow we just know it's going to be ready for us, right? But when it comes to our faith, we don't do that. We submit our order and then we go, oh, never mind. I'll just go make it myself. And so I'm at the age where I'm realizing my own condition to doing that. And I'm here to say, don't do that. Have more faith, for sure.
Faith can't live where fear resides, and fear can't live where faith thrives.
Fear is the opposite of faith. The
Thanks
end.
for listening.